What's going on, guys? Welcome back to this year's Halloween Spooktacular. I'm having a lot of fun, and the theme this year seems to be a lot of new releases. This time, I'm talking about Smile 2, which is definitely a new release, and it is out in theaters instead of on a streaming service. This is once again written and directed by Parker Finn, and this time stars Naomi Scott as Sky Riley, a pop star who is about to embark on a world tour and is a recovering drug addict and is facing some past trauma, and she comes into conflict with the Smile entity. I think the first Smile movies solid. I don't think it's anything like spectacular, but it had some really cool lore to it. A really unique and interesting entity that I felt original for a creature design. Sets up so many cool rules that I think that this movie had to follow, and it does its best to keep those rules intact. I think the reason I prefer this one over the first one is that I think the first one had too slow of a build-up. Like it's obviously deliberate. There's a deliberate slow build-up in this one to get you into the psyche and the mind of the characters and what they're actually experiencing and what they're going through when trying to battle this Smile entity. But I just think the first one was a little bit too slow in its build-up. This one, yeah, it's still a slow burn. But I think that there's more tension there with this one. I think Parker Finn is a more seasoned director and writer this time around, where he can craft the tension better than he did in the first one. It feels like he's becoming more comfortable behind the camera, staging some set pieces, setting up some jump scares. I think the jump scares in this movie are a lot better than they were in the first one. There wasn't anything really spoiled by the trailers. There are a couple of unexpected deaths that are hinted at in the trailers, but they come from the fact that you don't expect the characters that die in those moments to be the characters that die in those moments. I think he does a better job here setting all of that up than he does in the first one. I think the first one relied too heavily on the marketing and the not so shocking shock value because the trailers really spoiled it, but there's some really, really interesting things he does here in terms of Naomi Scott's character, Sky Riley, dealing with this entity. And I want to talk about Naomi Scott for a minute because she is really good in this movie. She is fantastic. It's great to see her in a movie again. I know that she took a break from acting after Charlie's Angels and Aladdin. When actors and actresses can come back like this and still prove that they have such a great acting ability and a unique talent, that is what I wanted from Naomi Scott in this movie, and she kills it in this. I've seen some people say she's awards worthy, maybe not that much, but she is really, really good in this movie. She's perfect for this role, especially since singing is part of her repertoire now. We knew that with Aladdin. Did she do a song for Charlie's Angels? I don't think she did, but she does a couple of songs here as the pop star, and it really dives into the life of a pop star. You know, it's proof that a pop star, it's all glitz and glamour. It's all fake. It's all what we expect to see on TikTok. I hate TikTok. That's why I'm bringing it up. TikTok is my villain origin story. But I will say, anytime you see this in the movie, be prepared to be scared. You can definitely tell there's more money behind this project. The deaths are bloodier, they're more gruesome, they're even more gory. There's even images of body horror in this movie that I thought were really effective with some great sound design. The cracking of bones, the fact that objects break off screen and it's playing with your mind. It's like, okay, who's in the room and there's nobody there, and then objects are fully intact that just broke. There's such great sound design here to try and throw you off as a viewer, and that's a big part of the charm of Smile too. I think it does a really good job of trying to bring you into certain directions that we already know, that previously established lore from the first one that carries over into this one, that this movie is trying to divert us to. There are a couple of things towards the third act in terms of character decisions with Sky Riley, with how she's written towards the third act, because I think she's a really phenomenal character, but there's just a few things, two things, where I think she makes some really poor decisions, maybe three things, towards the end of the second act, beginning of the third act, where I'm just like, what are you doing, girl? Like, why? Why? You gotta rethink your life or something. Oh, wait, I think that's kind of the point of the movie. She's already doing that. And then once these character decisions are made, there is something that does happen involving her character and another character where I actually started to question the movie's rules a little bit because I felt it was a bit contradictory. Something happens and I said, well, wait a minute, this happened. Wasn't that previously established that if that happens, something specific has to happen? I'm not going to spoil it here. I'm not going to spoil it in a spoiler review, but I can't wait to talk to my peers about that moment because that didn't really stick with me. That was a really lingering moment where I was like, I think that's lore breaking. But the glitz and glamour of a pop star, the fashion of it all, somebody who is a recovering addict that has dealt with past trauma. Once again, we have a Smile movie that deals with trauma. That's going to be the major theme throughout this franchise, isn't it? It's going to be trauma. The brief flashbacks of that were utterly disturbing and creepy. And it's not even that they're scary or bloody, it's just the tragedy is essentially told in reverse. And you're seeing that play out in flashbacks in reverse order made it a little bit more eerie for me. I don't know why. Maybe it was the way some shots were framed. Maybe it was the way that the tension built up with the music in those scenes. Like there was one where I was like, I think I'm gonna have to turn away in this point because I can't watch a full on collision like that. This wasn't even in Dolby. The advanced screening wasn't in Dolby. It was in a regular theater and it was loud. Sometimes loud, unexpected noises like that get me. There's a few jump scares in here that got me that I think were more effective than the jump scares in the first one. What I didn't like about the first one was that jump scare that they ruined in the trailer with the sister coming out and her head and then all of a sudden starts hanging. That was ruined. There's nothing ruined in the trailer for this one like that. But there are moments that I wasn't expecting where I was like, oh, okay, you got me to jump. And it worked. It actually legitimately scared me. So I do think Smile 2, despite a few deficiencies, is better than the first one. I think it's more enjoyable. I think it has a better pace with its slow build. It continues its drive on the idea of trauma and how that affects somebody. And I just love seeing this world explore the fakeness of the glitz and glamour of a pop star. And Naomi Scott just kills it. Parker Finn feels more seasoned here as a director and a writer. And luckily, this seems like his franchise. It doesn't seem like he's going to let it go to any other hands. And that's probably a good thing because if you have somebody from the outside taking the reins of this thing, you run the risk of ruining it and creating really convoluted lore that didn't exist before. And it just seems like we're staying in like a little bubble with the lore. Maybe a couple of added things here and there, but for the most part, it's all the same. There's nothing really to expand upon. And I just like that these two movies feel like their own self contained movies, even though they both do connect in a way. Since I've been giving letter grades out to the movies that I've been reviewing for Halloween Spooktacular, I'm going to give Smile 2 a B+. Thought it was better than the first one. What can I say? First one's still solid enough. If you guys do see Smile 2 this weekend, let me know what you think of it. Drop me some feedback in the comment section below. I'll leave my links to my website in the description below as well. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I will see you at the movies somewhere.